At exactly 3:41 a.m., emergency services picked up a call that would haunt the dispatcher for the rest of their life. The voice on the other end was a man hyperventilating, his words barely a whisper. He said, "I'm not crazy. I'm just the only one still alive here. He's standing right behind me, but he's not moving." Then a bone-chilling silence, followed by a sound like metal grinding against bone, and the line went dead. That call was only the beginning of a mystery that has baffled investigators for decades. This story actually starts 48 hours earlier. Four friends looking for a getaway rented an old cabin deep in the Oregon wilderness, an area locals call the Silent Stretch. It's a place where birds don't chirp and animals don't roam. On their way in, their GPS systems went haywire and their compasses started spinning in circles. They laughed it off as a glitch and took a group photo in front of the forest entrance. If you look closely at the background of that photo now, there's a tall, dark figure watching them from the pines. But back then, they didn't notice a thing. The moment they stepped inside, the atmosphere changed. The doors were wide open, even though the owner swore the place had been bolted shut for years. That first night, one of the girls, Sarah, woke up to a rhythmic scratching sound coming from under her bed. It wasn't an animal. It sounded like someone carving into the wood. When she flipped on her flashlight, it stopped. The next morning, they made a terrifying discovery. Every single one of their phones was displaying the same date, December 12th, 1994. The exact day a family of four disappeared from this very cabin 30 years ago. Panic started to set in. Just a few feet from the front porch, they found a massive pine tree with its bark stripped raw. Carved deep into the wood were the words, "The land hates strangers. Leave one behind or no one leaves." The wood was still oozing a thick red sap that smelled like copper. They sprinted to the car, ready to get the hell out of there. But when they reached the driveway, they stopped dead. All four doors of the car were gone. Not broken off, not stolen, just missing, like they had never existed. By the second night, the cabin had become a cage. Mark went to the kitchen to grab some water and never came back. When the others went to find him, the kitchen was gone. In its place was a long, narrow hallway that hadn't been there before. At the end of that hall, they found a heavy wooden door embedded right in the floor. When they pried it open, they didn't find a basement. They found a perfect mirrored replica of the cabin they were standing in, but it was completely upside down. The furniture was on the ceiling, and the only light was coming from the floorboards. In that upside-down room, they found an old VHS camcorder. It was still recording. When they hit playback, they saw footage of themselves, but they were committing horrific acts against one another with blank, expressionless faces. Suddenly, the audio from the 911 call we heard earlier started playing through the camera's speakers. The man screaming for help wasn't just someone, it was Mark. But the timestamp on the video said 1994. Mark was calling for help 30 years before he was even born. When the police finally breached the cabin after the 911 call, it was empty. No bodies, no blood, no friends. What they did find was much worse. 4 mummified corpses hidden behind the walls, wearing the exact same clothes the friends had worn that weekend. To this day, the Silent Stretch is a restricted zone. The cabin has been demolished 5 times, and every single time, it rebuilds itself the very next night. So if you ever find yourself in a forest that's a little too quiet, don't look back. The land might have already chosen you to stay.